CXAIR uses search-based technology to allow us to use natural language free text searches against vast amounts of data with sub-second response times. As you can see here, we've got a search engine that's got multiple indexes in, and these can come from structured and unstructured data sources. So if I was going to search for ambulance here in free text, I can click in the search bar and search for ambulance. And what we'll see is that we get 4 indexes that have records in them. So if we go into our A&E attendances, you can see that these 38,000 matches are where, it's a structured data source where we found ambulance within any of the fields, and you can see they get highlighted wherever it was found. Okay, if I then go into the data dictionary attributes, you can see this is an unstructured data source. So this has got things like PDFs in, and as you can see, ambulance doesn't actually appear in the file name, but it does find it within the file itself. We can then also go into more detail and do things like regular expressions to split out information from PDFs. Okay, so if I was to just navigate back to my A&E attendances index, so if I was wanting to find patients that are male, admitted but didn't attend via an ambulance, I can click on, obviously, the name male. I can go into the column header of admitted flag, I can look at how many of each appear, and then I can pick admitted there. So there's 12,000 of them 75. Okay, and then I can also then, as you can see, the default is an AND. I can then turn on Boolean operators, I can choose not, and then I can pick the arrival mode ambulance, including helicopter. So if I wanted to filter this down even more, you can see that, say I wanted to filter this down for over 50 and people that are coming from the main CCG, I can use the filter panel. So if I open the filter panel, pick main CCG, and then in the age of attendance I just pick 50 and filter. You can now see that both them values are populated, and it says 2 filters applied in the header there. So now you can see we're down to 699 matches, all meeting the criteria that we've been looking for. So if I wanted to see this in a slightly different way, I can show it in the attendance detail, so I can show it in this HTML format. So as you can see there, it's got information about the attendance in one column, departure in the other, and admitted in the third. Another way we can show data is if we've got something like a comments field, so for example this comments title, we can actually show them in a word cloud as well to see the most used words within the data. So here you can see the number of comments per month in a bar chart, and then also the specific words. So if I wanted to click on excellent, for example, I can click on excellent. I can then see the words that relate to that. So again, if I clicked on experience, I can then see anything that relates to that. So you can see that anyone that's had an excellent experience in them 3 comments, it looks like they've come in for an outpatient appointment. Okay, so if I'm going to go through some reporting that we've done now. So the first one I'm going to show you is just how to build up a dashboard. So we've got a few elements already in here, and I'm going to add a couple of elements in. So what you can see is at the bottom middle we've got placeholder. So the first thing I'm going to do is drag a chart onto the placeholder and then create a new chart on here. So I can pick anything in my rows, so I'm going to pick the site. So this is the hospital site that they're coming from. And in the charts I'm just going to show it as a donut 2D. So this is just going to be similar to a pie chart, and it's going to show how many attendances for each site we've had over the multiple sites. And as you can see, there's a range of different customizations that we can do to any of these charts. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in another element, and that, again, as you can see, it's as easy as just dragging an element onto the page, creating a new one, or in this case we're going to load an existing element, and then from our load screen pick an element we want to load. So this attendances versus time to departure, size it however we want, and then we can just run it then. So as you can see quite quickly, we've added a couple. There's only 3 elements to begin with. We've added 2 more, and you can see it makes quite a nice looking dashboard. Now what I'm going to do now is load a very similar one, but one that we've added some carousel elements to previously. So what you can see now is that the A&E wait times by 10 minutes grouping is going to change. So every few seconds, Site 1 changes to Site 2, changes to Site 3, changes back to Site 1. And in the bottom right, we've got attendances versus admissions. We've got whether they met the 4-hour target. And another range of different KPIs. You can see we've got attendances by 4-hour groupings, etc. So this is something that you could have up in an A&E department and really show, you know, how you're doing against the key performance indicators you've got to work against. Okay, so the next one I'm going to show you is this multi-index dashboard. So what this shows is it shows an overview of multiple data sources, so we can create dashboard and infographic style reports against multiple indexes, and you can use a filter panel to search across all of them. So in this example, we've got these 4 different tabs. So we've got our A&E attendances, ambulance, admissions, and FFT, and these are coming from a couple of different indexes. So our A&E attendances is coming from our main A&E index. So we can click on that tab, and it's then going to take us to our A&E page. So you can see it shows you how we're performing against a 4-hour target. So not quite hitting targets, the age band split, gender split, and also the ethnicity split, and then also the A&E wait times by 10-minute segment. So you can see that how it's distributed across, and the fact that, you know, there's a lot coming in closer to over 4 hours, which is obviously not what we want. Okay, so then if we click on back to dashboard, we can see that we can then go into the ambulance attendances. So this is using a different index, and so what this is showing is a drive time map. So we can see the distance that a patient's travelled from their location in an ambulance to the hospital. And what we can see, even though it's going to look a tiny bit busy, is that there's people going to Site 1, so in the red, that will actually be closer to, say, Site 3. So there you can see there's a couple that are really close to Site 3, but they're actually going to Site 1. Now it may be the fact that, you know, Site 1's a major A&E department, Site 3 might be a minor injuries unit, and they have to go to the major one. Or it could just be the fact that there's been a miscommunication and they could have gone to the one that's a lot closer to them. Okay, so then we got into our admissions page, and you can see it just gives a brief overview. So the percentage that get admitted after an A&E attendance, so 18%. The admissions via site splits, you can see that Site 3 hasn't got many, Site 2's got 600 for this particular month, and Site 1 obviously has the most. And our final one on this is the FFT comments. So this is again, so where we've got our comments on the right hand side for the number of months, we can actually also submit an FFT within here. So using our CX forms, which is our form capturing capability, we can create our own forms. You can fill in the forms, submit the forms, and the data will then be indexed into a separate index itself. And then they can obviously be reported against as any other index can be. So we click submit, you can see then that the form is submitted, and then we can then do another submission. Okay, so moving on, the next report I'm going to show is the KPI page report. So if I load that one up, so what you can see is this shows different key performance indicators on different tabs. So we've got 4-hour target at the start. So this shows a few different techniques. So as you can see there, we've used conditional formatting. So anything less than 90% is red, anything less than 95 is orange, and anything greater than 90 is green. We've got our time to departure. So again, this is just the distribution of the attendance splits within 10-minute groupings. The next one's our arrival and disposal tab. So this is showing our attendances split by arrival mode, and then a few other different ways of splitting the attendances up. So as you can see, these are all things that would be interesting. So here, if we wanted to see ambulance attendances, we can click on the picture. It takes us down to, as you can see in the search bar, only the arrival mode ambulances, including helicopters. And again, we've got the same sort of admissions overview on that page, and finally demographics. So you can see again attendances by age band, gender, CCG, ethnicity, etc. So there's various different ways that we can show similar sorts of information. one thing that we can do, as we showed in the first one where we've got the conditional formatting, is you can actually set that up to be alerted. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to schedule this report out. So we can create a schedule to run, say, immediately, or every Monday, every Wednesday, whatever. But what you can also do is you can actually set up alerts so that it sends it out if that condition is met. So the alert could be based on the 4-hour target, and it could say, well, if it's less than the 95%, then send it to me. Otherwise, if it's greater than 95%, great, send it out to all the other managers. But it might be the fact that, you know, I need to review why we're not hitting that target. So as you can see, we can email this out via a PDF and send that away. Cool. Okay, so the last one of these report styles that I'm going to show you is this CXAIR A&E data pack. And what this shows is, again, similar information, but this is showing it as a multi-page sort of board report pack. So as you can see, we've got a front cover, and it goes down, it shows you an overview of A&E, and there's various different bits of information. The great thing about this report is that, you know, it's going to PDF perfectly. So the whole idea of Pages is that we're doing pixel perfect reporting, so, well, near enough pixel perfect reporting. Everything that's designed on the page, that's how it's going to look on the PDF. So if we were to export this as PDF, we get a 6-page report that looks just like that. And that's where all the benefits of the flexibility is coming in with. You can just drag and drop an element on and place it wherever you want it to go. Okay, we can also add a bit of commentary to reports as well. So in here I can put, you know, our 4-hour target's not, the performance isn't as good as it should be, so we can just put in a little comment here, and I can add that. And then the next person to load that report will see my comment attached to it. Okay, so the next section I'm going to show you is VENS. So within VENS, so I mean, it's probably something you haven't seen since you were at school, but essentially what VENS allows us to do is it shows logical connections between different sets of data. So we're going to show a standard creation of one first. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to choose males, so gender, male. I'm going to pick Site 1, so I want Site 1 attendances, and I'm also then going to pick the arrival mode to be ambulance. So what this is going to show us is it's going to show the number of attendances that are male, the number of attendances to Site 1, the number of attendances that are then ambulances, and it's also going to show us where they intersect. So if I drag these over, you can see they already start to intersect with the numbers. So you can see that there's 16,393 males that attended Site 1 via ambulance. As you can see in our set segment here with the hits, you can actually see the logic behind each one of these. So for example, the pink one, this is ambulance including helicopter and male, but not Site 1. And we can drill down, you can see the syntax comes in the search bar and that the relevant fields are highlighted. So it's not all necessarily about looking for what's in the middle, but also the actual intersections on the side. Now, one key example of this in healthcare is that we can actually use this alongside distinct counts to find frequent flyers. So in this example, I'm going to pick 3 consecutive months in the attendance month year, so these can be any 3 months, so we'll pick January, February and March. Now, any A&E attendance can only be in 1 month, so they actually attend in January or February or March. It might span it, but the intersection is going to be 0 because none of them, you can't attend, you attend at 1 second at that one point in the day. Now, so obviously the intersections are 0, but what we can do is if I choose distinct counts, we can actually look at patients that are coming in each of the months. So if I change my distinct counts within the measure to distinct patients, you can actually see then that we've got 136 so unique patients that attended in January, in February and in March. So these are going to be the people that we're going to be interested in. So I can drill down on that 136. I can then see the 136 distinct patients. I've got the patient IDs, so we can then use the Boolean operators again this time. So if I use replace, and I'm going to pick this particular patient, you can then see all the activity for that patient. So not only are they coming in then 3 months, but there's also many other months that they've come in as well. And that's a kind of report that wouldn't be as easy to do anywhere else, whereas in VENS it can be done really nice and dynamically. And you can obviously have more than just the 3 sets. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show is our Bayesian networks. So we've got a couple of types of modelling. So we use decision trees and Bayes networks. We can use these predictive analytics such as Bayesian networks to use historical data to predict future events. So in here we're looking at the key, certain key fields that are going to dictate whether or not someone gets admitted or not. So what you can see is what we're going to do in here is we're going to choose particular records. So I'm going to look at over 64, sorry. So if I click on over 64, you can then see how that's changed the admitted flag. So it's 25% more likely. If we now say that they attended via an ambulance, I can then select ambulance, and then what you'll also see is that then changes it. So a 47% swing, they've now 64.51% likely to get admitted. So we can predict if someone over 64 comes in via an ambulance, that they are more likely to get admitted than they are otherwise. What we can see now in the visualizations is how certain things connect, and also with the column charts the different new probabilities versus the original probability. So you can see that admitted has changed 40% to the positive, not admitted the opposite way. And you can see the different ones in here. So obviously things where we've chosen ambulance, that's now 100% as opposed to before. And then we can also show a couple of other things. So we can show the order of influence, so in what order certain values are influencing how things change. So if we go into that one and next, so it's going to show us which fields and which values have the most influence over the percentages that we're seeing. So here you can see obviously we're searching for mainly admitted in attendance disposal national description. And then again in the summary we can then see from each field the most likely outcome, the predicted probability and the change from that original probability. Okay, thanks for watching.